Welcome to Dualshock'd, the Brotherhood of Geeks PlayStation podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brett J. Rasmussen, and over here, I got my other co-host.
You got Spectre.
Yeah, this is episode 68 of Dualshock'd. Today, we're going to be talking about a few things today. We're going to be talking about the free games that are coming to PlayStation Plus in June. We're going to be talking about a Returnal PC port that may be coming. We're going to be talking about how PS5 has passed 20 million units sold, and Sony says that it's going to ramp up production this year. And what we're going to be talking about in our PlayStation conversation, we are going to be talking about, discussing, and pretty much reviewing the state of play that just went live a few days ago, which you can go ahead and see my reactions to it. I'll put the little post somewhere up here. You can go ahead and see my reactions to that, but we're going to talk about what we thought about this state of play and all the rest, all the games that were shown, everything. But with that being said, how you doing, Spectre?
I'm doing much better. Yeah, I mean, this is the first time I'm actually in my new office now, so I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work moving rooms and tearing everything apart. But I'm happy I did this because it's so much better. This is a much better setup for me. Thank you for your help as well too. You had some creative ideas on how things should be arranged, and I think it looks fantastic now. So it's a home office, it's a set, it's a gaming space for me. It's got everything I need. You know, it's really, I'm very, very happy with it. And it's not 100% done. It's like, 90% done right now, but I mean, it's, the bulk of it's up and running. I mean, I can play my computer on it, and I can, do my work in here and stuff like that now. So I mean, it's functional.
That's good. That's good. And just I forgot to mention just before we continue, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that things, so that way you don't get stuck in an old place and you can move into a better place, like what Spectre has done. Subscribe to the channel. I'm aware. I am very aware. I already knew that was terrible, but that's okay. That's A-okay. I have no problem. That's okay. I was like, I will go up and jump, and instead of jumping off into the pool,
not everything can be woven together.
As I was jumping from the board to the metaphorical the jumping stand to the pool, I tripped over myself and did nothing and landed just straight into the water. Just no grace, no nothing, just so. But at least you get to go ahead and have a good old time and laugh at, whether at my expense or laugh with me, because I do that too. But anyway, so you moved into your new place. I'm glad I could help you with that, because now you get to now you can just move from right there to behind you. You don't have to move anywhere. You can just Spectre, show it.
It was a great, yeah, exactly. I mean,
show us what you can do. Show us, Spectre.
Yeah, I can switch between like game mode and work mode.
Hey, game mode, work mode. One more time. Game mode. Work mode. Yay!
So yeah, that's pretty nice. I mean, that's I know some people, like, they really like to have like a separation, like they like to have your your game stuff, your console or whatever in one spot, and your work in another spot. Not for me at all. I like to just have everything in one convenient area, and that works great for me. I mean, I'm surrounded by computers. I basically go from one screen to another over the course of a day. and I love that. I'm totally fine with that. This is part of what I do.
That is great.
Yeah, but yeah, very, very happy. Like I said, thanks for your idea, because that kind of got me out of a bind there, because I was like, okay, I thought I was gonna have to like take apart a bunch of stuff, return a bunch of stuff. But so far with this room, I've only returned one thing. It's just because a shelf that I bought was subpar in quality, and I've replaced that now. But yeah, otherwise this has been a very smooth transition overall, and it's just fun stuff now. It's just putting up like posters, and I got like one or two more shelves to make, and I got to put the curtains up behind me. But other than that, it's like it's easy stuff at this point.
Well, that is good. That is good. Have you been able to
get back to gaming now too? Because that's the other thing. I felt like I was so displaced before. Like I just was too busy doing other stuff. Like I couldn't really, I wasn't at my home computer. It's like, it's like if somebody took your PlayStation 5 away. Like, I mean, technically you can still play games, but you can't do it as easily as
Yeah, I get you there. So yeah, have you been able to play anything or not really?
Not really. No, I mean, I play a little bit of like WoW, of course. I mean, WoW is basically, I mentioned it before too. I play WoW Classic, more specific. I don't play like the retail, like the live version of World of Warcraft. I play WoW Classic. And WoW Classic, if you know anything about the game, is at we're at a waiting room period right now. We're waiting for Wrath of the Lich King Classic, which is the second expansion to the game. That's going to be coming out later this year, which is sometime. We don't know the exact date, but it's been confirmed for this year. So that's kind of Classic is just a waiting room at this point. We're all waiting for that to happen. I got a bunch of buddies that are going to be coming back to the game, so I'm just kind of leveling up my character right now and just farming money. And I mean, that's really all there really is. There's no point in getting like gear and stuff like that because it's all going to be useless as soon as the new expansion comes out anyway. So it's just a waiting room at this point. So it's not really like a high pressure thing. It's kind of a chill thing to play. And other than that, I got in a little bit of like my World of Warships, which is my go-to game. I don't like playing that on my laptop so much, so I didn't play it too much. And because my laptop is basically what I had to play with for the last couple of weeks or so. Because even my living room PC was kind of like under wraps because I couldn't really access that either. So I really was playing off of a laptop. And now this is exciting. I can actually play my games again in a comfortable setting.
Huzzah!
Huzzah! Yeah,
Huzzah.
I still got to actually. My next thing to finish up, it's on my to-do list, is I want to finish up Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yes.
And hopefully I can get some kind of review or some sort of like, kind of gather my thoughts together. It's been a while since I've actually done like a review video of sorts. So I'd like to gather my thoughts on that because I don't think a lot of people have really been talking about that game. It's I've only really seen like one or two videos on it like online. So I think it's worth talking about because it's an interesting game. There are some things to discuss about it. It has an interesting premise, an interesting history to it. So but yeah, so that's what I'm doing. What about you?
Well, for me, I've kind of just been like very busy with like doing other things, other stuff. I haven't really been gaming a lot, at least since like last time we talked. I mean, of course, like you said, you've been playing World of Warcraft. I've been playing Destiny. As I said, that is the game where I just turn my brain off. So I've been playing that. What else have I been playing? I've been playing more of Lego Star Wars, which has been fun. But I haven't been really, I've just been too busy to like play video games. I need to sit down and really do that. Also, I've been like, I have been sleeping a lot only because I've been sleeping out on my couch because it's so hot in my room. So that is, my whole sleep schedule's thrown the heck off.
Crank up your AC or something.
Yeah, I know. Well, I already do that. Mind you, I'm a big guy.
The other perk of this room is that this room is kind of natural, just because of where it's located in the house. It's naturally cooler, and so it's, and I like that. I'm more of I like things kind of chill and a little bit cooler than normal. So I mean, not like freezing, but
no,
I do like it to be a little bit cooler. And plus, I have 3 computers in this room. So there's naturally some heat that's generated just by those already. So I don't really need to have it like, it makes a nice comfy medium in here.
Yeah, I mean, like, mind you, like, I've been, like, even though I haven't been playing a lot of video games, I've been taking in a lot of, like, media. Like, for instance, this past Sunday, I'm gonna go on a wrestling tirade, but that's okay. But, like, this past Sunday was All Elite Wrestling's pay-per-view of Double or Nothing, which was awesome. So if any of you wrestling fans out there saw it, well, not actually 2 weekends ago because of when this gets posted. because but it's not this past Sunday, because this, like, as we're recording right now, WWE's Hell in a Cell just finished, so it was like last Sunday, the last Sunday. But it was it was absolutely phenomenal. And then Dynamite had a great, MJF did hit, which is one of the best bad guys working today in wrestling, had a pipe bomb that is just as good as CM Punk's pipe bomb from back in 2011. Phenomenal. So that
speaking a whole different language here.
I'm aware. Well, hey, you want to know what I've been up to? I've been doing that. I've been watching a lot of wrestling recently.
I did watch. I mentioned this last time too. I did watch Obi-Wan, the series. We just watched the what was it, the third episode? And it still hasn't lost me yet. I'm still haven't turned away. So that's good. I'm still, I haven't turned it away just yet. So
that's good. I just got finished watching Chippendale Rescue Rangers, the movie. Ooh, that movie is a trip. Oh boy, that movie is nuts. That movie is nuts, and I'm gonna leave it there because there is so much in that movie. Like, if you like, I told this to Spectre, if you like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you'll like this movie. Like, it's great. It's great. Like, just the wow. Just the
I'll take your word for it, because I heard I heard things. So,
well, the thing is, you cannot, like, this movie you can't take seriously. It's one of those things where, like, if you take it too seriously, then you probably will have a bad time. But if you just kind of go in and just like, I'm here to have a good time, it's fun. It's a fun movie. Yes, it is nuts. It is crazy. It is hectic. It's a lot of the time I was raising my eyebrows and going like, what is happening? But it is still a fun movie. I very much enjoyed it. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to. I think that's it. Shall we begin with our first thing?
Yeah. Let's get into it.
I guess so. All right, let's begin with news of the nation. Yeah. All right. So let's begin with our first news topic. From the PlayStation blog, we have the new free games for June from PlayStation Plus. PlayStation Plus free games for June. So this time around, we're going to be getting God of War 2018, Naruto 2 Boruto, Shinobi Striker, and Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. So God of War is going to be on the PS4. Naruto 2 Boruto is on the PS4, and then we have a PS4 and PS5 versions of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. So I don't think we need to really talk about God of War, because we love that game, and everyone loves that game.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, it's a good month for you guys. I mean, those are some solid titles there. I mean, I heard mixed things about the Nickelodeon one, but still, I mean, God of War is great. The Naruto one's going to be polarizing, because either you love Naruto or you don't. And I'm definitely in the not a fan of Naruto category, but that's okay. So it's, but yeah, I mean, there's a little something for everyone, I think, with that. I mean, it's a solid month, I would say. Doesn't justify, the subscription, but it's a solid month.
I mean, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, I do have that game, and that is a Smash clone, and it is still very fun. It is very, very fun. It is not bad. It is definitely it could have been worse.
The new Smash clone, the Multiverses or whatever.
Yeah, Multiverses. Yes, I do. I do know of that game. Yes.
Yeah, I'm yet to try that one, but I mean, it's in any game we where you can fight as like Shaggy from Scooby Doo. Like,
dude,
I gotta check it out.
I love it that they leaned into the meme Shaggy too, like Super Saiyan Shaggy. I love it that they leaned into that. And like with that one, because it's Warner Brother properties, they're going anywhere and everywhere with this. It's not just like, old cartoons or like, nah, they're like putting in Game of Thrones and the like anything. It's crazy. I'm actually very happy about that. And then God of War 2018, like that's great. Which, oh well, I mean, I always sometimes with these games for Plus, they're always like sometimes teases for something in the future. Mind you, we just had a state of play. I was going like, for a quick second, I was like, oh wait a minute, would there be something else? No, like we don't have a showcase like planned or coming up anytime soon, unless like before this gets posted or whatever. There'll be a showcase within the next few weeks or whatever. But I don't think there'll be a showcase until like August, like end of July, sometime in August, maybe even September, like a PlayStation showcase.
Yeah, I mean it's everything is kind of all separated and spread out now. Everyone does their own thing more or less.
Yeah.
So it's I mean we'll probably see something. I imagine maybe like in the September range or sometime before that probably. Because presumably we're still getting God of War Ragnarok this year, so I mean they have to do some sort of state of play just focusing on that. So we're going to hear more, I'm sure, relatively soon here.
Oh yeah, I definitely do agree. But yeah, good month. This is definitely a good month. So, and as always, as we say, if you do have Plus, just add them to your library. You can always download them later. But just to add them to your library, so that way if you want to play any of these games, you can always have access to them as long as you have Plus. And this is when Spectre rolls his eyes.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, if you, I don't know. I mean, if it's, they kind of force you to get it. So I mean, if you're on PlayStation, you don't really have much of a choice, do you?
What if they did that on PC? What if they had you like get a subscription, like even if it was like $10. Or like $10 or $20 like a year if it was a subscription.
It would never ever happen.
It will never ever happen.
No, like how would you even do that? Would you I mean, well, even like if you did that like on the thing about that's nice about PC is that it's not consolidated. It's not like one consolidated platform. There are all these different storefronts and different options. So like let's say for example. Steam did that. Like on Steam, you had to have like a subscription fee to access your Steam games. So not only would that never ever happen, like I mean, because people would just go completely nuts. All of a sudden, taking a free store, a free online service to make that pay to play. That people would just go insane. But even if you got over that. You could just immediately go to the competition. You could go over to GOG or God forbid, Epic Games or any one of any number of other services, and just bypass it. So I mean, it just really wouldn't be a smart move. The closest you have to that is like for example, Game Pass, which is there's you have PC where you can access Game Pass as well too, but. That's a completely optional thing. That's not at all required. It's in a very different category from PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live, which are de facto required just to get a basic function of your system, which is multiplayer gaming. Which even if you're not really like a multiplayer gamer, like yourself, for example, even you wouldn't really probably consider yourself a competitive multiplayer. No, God, no. To quote you before, I think you wouldn't consider yourself that. But even still, games that you play that are quasi multiplayer focused, or even if they are single player but they have multiplayer components like Destiny, you still need to have Plus for that, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's sort of you're sort of strong armed into getting it. So yeah, but that would never happen on PC. The closest you have to that is, like I said, Game Pass, or in the case of MMOs like World of Warcraft, for instance, you pay a subscription fee. But that was always part of the deal with MMOs. It's kind of in a different category because you're paying for kind of an active service, an actively developed service. That's kind of the idea for that. So it would never happen. It would never happen. And if it never did, something like that ever did happen, people, consumers would go nuts and they just wouldn't accept it. I don't think. I really don't think they would accept it. You would see just a huge rise in pirating. You would see a huge rise in people just switching to other services. Like for example, I would just start buying everything from GOG and just bypassing Steam. I don't. Valve is not stupid enough. Hopefully to ever do that.
So GOG is another launcher, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
Which is it's a competitor, but it also kind of plays nice with other launchers as well.
Got it. Okay.
So there's alternatives. Is my point.
Got it. So like if Steam and Epic, because they're the two biggest ones, if they put a subscription, they were like, hey, you need to pay $20 in order to play online games, but here's perks for free games, whatever. You would then just go, well, I'm dipping out, going to GOG or going to whoever else that in order for you to pretty much cave, every launcher would need to have, every launcher would have to have a subscription service to play online kind of thing in order for you to be like, well, I guess I'm screwed.
And even then I wouldn't be screwed because there's that's the beauty of PC is that there's ways around that. You would just see kind of an underground black market of sorts arise.
Mm-hmm.
People would be just essentially pirating or you can even do. You even see now, pirated multiplayer focused games. People do private servers for MMOs, like World of Warcraft has private servers, for example. So you just a lot of people, like a sizable chunk of people would just go underground essentially. There's always alternatives on PC. You don't have to just take what they give you. Even operating systems, I use Windows just because of convenience sake, but if Windows, which I've been thinking about it more and more over the years. I can look at an alternative operating system. Like I could, get more acquainted with Linux. Linux has become a lot more gamer friendly. I just don't have, I don't have the patience to sit down and learn Linux. And I regret. This is the end of my tangent, by the way.
You're good.
I had a good friend of mine in high school that was basically an expert on Linux. He knew everything there was to know about it, and he even offered to kind of show it to me. But at the time, I was like, "Oh, whatever. I don't really care." I never envisioned myself, like, oh, I'll just use Windows. Like, why would I ever not want to use Windows? It's just easy, right?
Yeah.
But I never envisioned the future that we ended up with, where things just kind of become more and more anti-consumer to the point where I'm like, okay, this seems like a reasonable alternative. Despite all the the problems with Linux, this seems like a reasonable alternative just to be free of a corporate overlord essentially. But my point being with all this is that there's a lot of alternatives on PC that you just don't have with a console. And that's why I'm really there's really zero fear on my part of ever having like a subscription service I'm forced to pay for, because people just wouldn't accept it. I don't think I myself wouldn't accept it. So I'm not really concerned about it.
Got it. That makes sense. Well, with that being said, again, those God of War 2018, Naruto to Boruto, the Shinobi.
It's a solid month. I give it that. It is a solid for what it is. It is a solid month. This is not a bad set of games, and God of War especially is fitting because you have God of War Ragnarok coming out later this year, presumably.
Yep, Naruto to Boruto, Shinobi Striker, and Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl coming to PS4 and PS5. The only game coming to PS5 is Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. So yes, great month. Let's move on. Next topic is that Returnal PC version may be coming. This comes from Destructoid. And here we go. So it says Steam DB listing and leaked images point to a Returnal PC port. Atropos and Helios were spotted on a code named Steam DB page that fits the bill. Quote, and here's the article, quote, "It feels like a matter of time before Sony and Housemarque bring Returnal over to PC." And today, which this article has been posted on June 3rd, it says that, let's see. "We are one step closer to becoming reality, as spotted by NB Nibellion. A listing on Steam DB contains references to the adrenaline-pumping PS5 exclusive. While the Steam DB page uses the codename Oregon, it includes specific words and phrases related to Returnal, including Atropos, which is the alien planet, and Helios, which is Celine's ship, and the Tower of Sisyphus, which is an endless horde mode, is an endless level mode in Returnal. Additionally, this presumed PC Returnal PC build has on-brand Steam tags like third-person shooter, bullet hell, sci-fi, roguelite, and female protagonist. And then also in an update, screenshots of the PC version of Returnal and also Sackboy: A Big Adventure have seemingly been leaked from Reddit user Empress of Sony. I'm sorry. The images show off the game's graphics settings, which in Returnal's case includes a toggle for ray traced reflections. And you can see there are pictures here in the article from that. Curiously, neither of these PC ports were confirmed in the state of play, but Sony did announce PC versions of Spider-Man and Miles Morales, which we will talk about that later. But so as said in the article, and we have talked about before on this show, Sony is expecting a significant year-over-year growth in its PC sales over the fiscal year of 2022. So yeah, let's talk about this. What do you think about this coming to PC, Returnal, and I guess Sackboy's Big Adventure?
I mean, I'm not personally looking forward to either of those games. I mean, of course it's always good to have more games and more options, to play. Returnal, I am a little curious about. The gameplay, and that looked kind of interesting. The definitely the character design was nothing to write home about. It was kind of baffling, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, Returnal, maybe I would throw it on a wish list and consider buying it, when it dropped down to a very deep discount. Sackboy, I might actually be more inclined to pick up just to have another platformer option. So that would probably be one I would consider. But yeah, no, I mean, this is all kind of stemming from. I mean, this is kind of going back to. There was a leak. I think it was last year or sometime before. There was a big leak where I think this was from NVIDIA, where they had a whole list of games that were supposed to be coming or potentially coming to PC, and a lot of them have been vindicated before. I think God of War was on that list. I think Spider-Man might have been on that list. Returnal was on that list. And also, if hopefully, Ghost of Tsushima was on that list as well too. So that's the big one I'm looking forward to. That's going to be the big news for me. I was talking about that last time as well too. Mm-hmm. So hopefully, that's something that will come to fruition eventually. I can understand why Sony didn't talk about this during the presentation.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like it's something that they have ready to go this instant. And there's time and development that goes into these ports. So they probably just didn't want to say oh by the way, this is coming to. I think they're trying to. It seems like they're trying to space it out a little bit here.
Yeah.
So the focus is on, hey, now we got Spider-Man coming, and then maybe their next state of play they might drop oh by the way, also Returnal's coming and Sackboy as well too, something like that.
Exactly.
Or maybe even there's even a larger announcement where they focus on maybe something like Ghost of Tsushima makes it over. So that would be yeah, it's great for me. I mean, it's just more things for me. It's more options for me to play, and once again, it's just sort of this isn't meant to be a jab at consoles necessarily, but it sort of reinforces my decision that to kind of move away from consoles, because I'm really not missing much. I mean, Returnal was one of the is currently, at least, it's one of the few, very, very few, like less than a handful of exclusives, like PlayStation 5, like true exclusives that you could only play on a PlayStation 5. And it looks like that's about to change for that title. So it's a list. I mean, the PlayStation 5 exclusive list is like, what, like 2 or 3 games at this point?
Are we now PS5 exclusive, meaning it's not on PC and it's not past gen, it's only on PS5. In order to play it, you have to do a PS5.
Yeah, PS5 only game. So like you can only play that game on
So it's
PS5.
not on PC, it's not on past gen, it is PS5 only, right?
Yeah. So I think it's only like what, 3 or 4 games at this point? I mean,
look, I think like
not even.
I think so. Like it's very few and far between.
Yeah, let me look at
I know we brought this up before. You don't need we've talked about this.
It's not a long list to read.
I am aware. Like if you want, but like while I talk, he's probably going to pull it up.
I'm not trying to take a jab.
You super are. Don't even lie. You totally
Maybe
are.
I am. I don't know.
This is fun for you. We already know this is fun for you, Spectre. Anyway, even if we go ahead and be like, oh, it's a PS for the exclusive, only on God help me.
Okay, I got it. So I was right. It is you can count them on one hand right now. So these are true PlayStation 5.
They're only on PS5. Yes.
They're only on PS5. So you have Astro's Playroom, which is good.
It is a good game. Yep.
It is a good short little packing game.
It is.
Okay, there's a flag on the play for this next title here, for Demon Souls, because technically you can play, of course.
It's a remaster, and it's still on PS5 though.
We'll give it to you. So that's your first exclusive. Destruction All Stars is an exclusive, but I mean, I don't think anyone's. I wouldn't call that a popular title. And Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, that was a well received game. So fair enough. There's at least 2. Very well received exclusives on there, and then 1 packing game, and then the last title on here is Returnal, which might be taken off shortly.
So here's the thing: I think we're getting to an age where the day of exclusives, meaning that it's only on this console, let me rephrase that. There will still be brand exclusivity, like Halo and Gears and Forza.
I think you're still gonna have. I think what you're referring to is like console exclusivity.
Yeah, the way you say console exclusivity is like it's only on PS5. You can't play it on PC or whatever.
No. That's that. And I know it can be a little confusing, but traditionally, when you refer to a console exclusive, that means that game can only be played, on that specific console and also PC.
Yes, that's
Halo,
why I say brand exclusivity.
Halo Infinite, for example, is a console exclusive.
Yes,
it's exclusive to Xbox, but it's not a true exclusive
because you can also play it on PC. Like the thing is, where when in this day and age, true exclusivity is becoming less and less of a thing, because unless your name is Nintendo. Mind you, Nintendo prints money. Like they really don't need to. And the thing is that Nintendo never fights for the same piece of pie. It's always been PlayStation and Xbox fighting over the same piece of pie.
I don't know about that. I really don't know about that anymore, because if you look at, like, for example, the Japanese market, it's become basically dominated by Nintendo. Completely dominated.
Well, that's because of of handheld. Handheld is huge over there. Handheld is a big deal.
That's part of it. Yes, but it's that market is completely migrated over. Even people that in the past would have purchased a PlayStation. And it's not that PlayStation isn't selling there at all. It's just that it seems like there's been a shift. Like I
think PlayStation has become a bit more westernized. Their PlayStation is kind of their focus. They're targeting the same people. It's Xbox and PlayStation competing over the same, as I said, the same piece of the pie. Like that's why Xbox did the backwards compatibility and the the PC day one, and now they're doing Game Pass. Like, both of them are fighting over the same piece of pie, but both of them are doing it in different ways. But it is still targeted for the same type of gamer, the same type of people. Nintendo is over here. No matter, they can make, again, they made Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I mean, hell, like, I'm gonna go back into wrestling, but like, even like, this was an article on I think Kotaku. This is an article on Kotaku, and also I think GameSpot did it. But like, there's a Pokemon called Lechonk, which is like this like Lechonk is apparently becoming a meme or whatever, but it's in the new game. And because all fans of All Elite Wrestling are also nerds, like, there's tons of games that's like Earthbound greater than Final Fantasy VII or whatever. Like, a lot of AEW fans are nerds. There were like 2 signs of it said Lechonk is #All Elite, and it's a joke where Tony Khan, who is the owner of All Elite Wrestling, whenever he recruits and signs a new wrestler, he on the AEW Twitter and on his Twitter, there is the stamp, the sign that says like blank, which is name of wrestler, is #All Elite. That's AEW's way of saying we signed this guy. So fans of AEW are making fun of like, oh, we love Lechonk. Lechonk is All Elite, like that kind of thing. Like, Pokemon is everywhere. When a Smash Brothers game comes out, people freak out about it. Like, Zelda, like Nintendo games almost print themselves. Like,
yeah, no, I think my original point was just that the exclusive strategy for Sony and Microsoft, it has changed dramatically. They don't really have exclusive, like they see PC as sort of this neutral territory where both can where everyone can kind of just compete. They're not really as concerned as they were in the past of like, you can only get a game on one platform and that's it. They don't really see it as I don't think they really fear losing people to like the PC platform, for example.
Well, they see the PC market, people like you, as, and again, this is not being mean or anything like, but like, you are a PC gamer, this is your thing. They see PC gamers as, okay, we make our games, what if we sell? This is another avenue of making more money. Instead of
that makes a lot of sense. They want they see this as potential sales that are being lost. Now, in some cases, I mean, you're also kind of losing sales in a way. Like, for example, for myself, I basically migrated 100% to PC. I no longer have a PlayStation Plus a subscription going. I don't buy hardware obviously anymore, but I think the way they see it is that, well, at least I'm still purchasing the game, so that's where they're making their money essentially. But I think there's pros and cons to it, but I think also a big part of it is, the people in my category, the people that are just going to be like, okay, well, why should I even have a console anymore? That percentage of the market that's just kind of gives up on consoles and switches to PC is very, very small. They probably in the low, thousands of gamers that would do that. So it's a very small chunk of the market. So I think their logic is, well, whoever we lose to that is essentially it's negligible. It's a write-off. We'd rather be making, hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, which is what they want to make. That's what they said they want to make essentially with PC gaming. Mm-hmm. They'd rather be making that hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. And if we lose a couple of, couple thousand gamers that are going to just not buy the system anymore and buy the peripherals or buy the PlayStation Plus subscription, that's fine. That's just a cost of this strategy, and it's worth it.
Well, I honestly don't think there are as many PC gamers like you who are. It's either that they've been PC gamers since beginning. So they just like, this is my jam. This is what I'm going to stick on PC. I don't need a console. I don't see as many gamers like you who had a
there are I think that, I mean, yes and no. I mean, there are a lot of PC gamers that have that play PC exclusively.
Yeah,
and,
but that's what I mean. Like you played PC, but you also played console. But as you saw, you specifically, Spectre, I'm talking about you specifically, you saw that like, oh, well, Xbox, because you looked at consoles as an exclusive avenue. In order for me to play God of War, I have to have a PlayStation. In order for me to play Halo, I have to have an Xbox. Oh, wait. Look, Xbox is doing this whole Play Anywhere initiative where now, day one, it comes to PC. Well, why do I need an Xbox? We've talked about it on this show episodes ago. And now we've been talking about how PlayStation has been going into the PC market and putting games that they've already released on console, putting them on PC at a later date. So for you, Spectre, because the way you viewed these consoles, you saw them as, well, they're exclusive. I need these consoles for exclusives. I can't play them on PC because the only way to play these games are on the console. Well, they're going to come to PC whether right away or later. Why do I need it in the first place? I'll just be on PC. For Xbox, if I want to play Gears or Halo or Forza or whatever game, the next Fable, like whatever, I'll play that day one on my PC. And on PlayStation, I'll just wait until it comes out. I'm not, like, you've said so yourself, like, there's very few games that you're like, I must play day one. You don't care. Like, day one things aren't really a big deal for you.
There's also still plenty of people, there's also plenty of PC gamers that have a PC and they game on it, maybe primarily.
Yeah.
But they also still have a console and they also use that as well, too.
Exactly.
For whatever reason. You know, so, I mean, I think that's their logic, is they'd rather sell games on PC as well, and they're not really. I guess from their perspective, and I agree with them, they're not really losing anything. You know, they're not really losing anything by releasing games on PC as well too. I mean, what do they really lose by doing that? Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, now clearly, you know, there's a vocal minority of some fans. If you look at some of the Twitter rants that have gone on about this, there's a vocal minority of some fans that see this as some sort of betrayal. And as some sort of, you know, like this, like, oh, what's the point? You know, why would I even have the system now? Because I could just get everything without a PlayStation 5. And I was even just kind of just making a joke about that kind of right now, you know, in a joking fashion, of course. But I think that crowd of people is a very small, minute, can barely see it slice of the market. And the way they see it, the way Sony sees it is, you know, hey, why not just put basically everything? I think eventually, I don't really see what would be the problem with this. I think eventually they could get to the point where they just release, they basically just pull what Microsoft is doing and just do a day and date, release everything on PC and you know, PlayStation 5, you know, like just like they did with you know, Ghostwire Tokyo, just was like that.
Well, yeah, and mind you, that's a third part. That's a second party. That's you
know, third party game, but still, but I'm kind of thinking, like, why not? You know, why not just release it? You know, like, why delay it? Why not just, unless there's like a specific reason in terms of like porting it? Mm-hmm. You know, why delay it? Why not just release like God of War Ragnarok, for example, on PC and PlayStation 5 at the same time? What do you have to lose?
And I will say I do agree with that when it comes to that kind of thing, because I will probably say I agree with it. Now, coming to PC day one, I think PlayStation I still like it that it's further away from it, but I have talked about this, and we'll talk about this later, where closing the gap on the time a PlayStation game launches to then put it on PC, I can see the gap closing and closing. I personally don't see a problem. I'm kind of going like, you know what, this is okay. I don't see a problem if they release a PlayStation game day one on PC, as long as it's, I agree with them also going, we're not putting this on Plus day one, like Game Pass for Xbox, because then we lose money. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, that's a separate issue.
But like, yes, and I don't want to go dive down the hole too far, but like, putting it on PC day one, I can see that happening. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but in the future, I do see that happening.
Yeah, I really don't see like why not. You know, I mean, it's like, I mean, you may as well do it. I mean, yeah, like I said, you're gonna have that vocal Twitter crowd that gets upset over it and bellyaches over it, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's not like they're gonna jump ship. I don't think in any significant numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I if I was them, I would just be like, that would just be the strategy going forward. Just release a day and date, and just get maximize your sales.
I think they're just kind of figuring out what they want to do. I think that's really kind of what they want to do, and they still want people.
I think it was an experiment at first, and then they realized, hey, this is pretty successful, and now they're doubling down on it.
No, I get you. I completely get you. But yeah, let's move on. Next topic is Deus Ex sequel rumors. This comes from IGN. So it looks like that Deus Ex sequel rumors have been seemingly quashed by a voice actor. Deus Ex actor Elias Toufexis has denied working on a sequel to 2016's Mankind Divided after... Toufexis, thank you. So Elias Toufexis, thank you.
I think that's how you say
it. Has denied working on a sequel to 2016's Mankind Divided after rumors circulated as a result of misinterpreted tweet. He posted on June 1st that he's been voicing a character, quote, in a huge AAA game for a few years, causing speculation that he was talking about a fifth mainline Deus Ex game. Toufexis, best known for as Adam Jensen, the protagonist in Deus Ex Human Revolution and Mankind Divided, which the latter game ended on a cliffhanger fans have been hoping to be resolved for many years. This tied in with Embracer's Group recent comments, which is the new owner of the Deus Ex franchise, that it sees great potential in sequels, remakes, and spin-offs in Deus Ex, but Toufexis has now put them to bed. In a tweet, so this is the tweet, he tweeted, quote, I tweet about anything in gaming, and then articles come out saying I've confirmed Deus Ex. Guys, I've done something like 30 games since Deus Ex. I'm on a couple right now that are even bigger than Deus Ex. Don't worry, I will let you know when I know anything. And then he put up a little gif of like this little cute little cat going, you've got to be kidding me. And he has his like head over. He's like, oh god. He's like, oh, like that kind of thing. So... yeah, you're the Deus Ex guy, so you tell me what you think about this, Spectre.
Yeah, well, I mean, I totally get it. It's anytime I was the same way really with some of the a lot of the members of Team Silent, or at least a couple prominent ones are on Twitter. And every time they say something that is cryptic or vague, it all of a sudden becomes like, oh, here's the next Silent Hill, or oh, they're hinting at another big game or something like that, or whatever. It's just it's I get it. It's and for especially for Elias Toufexis, I think it's like maybe he kind of almost feels a little typecast to some degree with it, but I mean, I think he understands that for a large segment of the gaming community, like when people just hear his voice, that's their first thought is Deus Ex, or just see him tweeting or talking about something like it. Everyone just kind of in the back of their mind is thinking Deus Ex. And it's just I get it. I'd love to see another game as well too, but and I think we will. I think we will in time. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a finish, the final part of the trilogy. I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen, or if it's going to be a new game or a remake or a remaster. But I understand the desire to see the series continue, and yeah, but I totally get it, and the thing with him as a voice actor too, it's kind of tough to get over. Is it's sort of like the thing with his voice, and he's got like such a distinctive voice. Like I've never been jealous of a man's voice before, but I mean he has such a cool like voice. It's like his natural speaking voice too. He's not putting on like a for when he plays Adam, for example, he's not putting on like a different like funny accent or whatever. That's just his natural speaking voice.
Yeah.
And it sounds just really cool, and like it just has this kind of like it just sounds good, you know. So I mean, I don't know how to describe it, you know, but yeah, I totally get it, and it's I understand the excitement that people have for it, but at the same time, it's like, you know, let's wait and see. I mean, we just got some exciting news not long ago with the whole Embracer Group thing, you know. So I mean, we know that something's going to happen with the series, you know, sometime in the near future, most likely. So just kind of wait and see, you know, and we'll see what we get out of it. But I understand the excitement. I understand the desire to see something materialize, you know, soon.
Yeah, no, I get you there. But yeah, I mean, if there is a Deus Ex, like what, like I get it. He has a voice actor. He's like, guys, just like
there is another Deus Ex in development, like as we speak, for example. It's probably in the very, very early stages, I would imagine, just because, like I said, this whole Embracer Group thing just happened. So if there is something, it's probably in the drawing board stages right now.
Yeah.
Like, what are they actually doing? So I probably wouldn't imagine we're going to see another Deus Ex game. At minimum, give it another 2 years. I would say that would be my guess, unless something was already in development from before, which probably not, considering that they shelved the series.
Yeah.
So basically, here's the timeline. Embracer just bought the IP. So they have to come up with the concept, and we at least we know that for sure that they are motivated to make games. They bought these IPs for a reason. They didn't buy them just to have them as a trophy. They want to make money off of this. So we do know that in all likelihood they are working on another game, but at this stage you got to give it you're looking at 2024. Probably, maybe if we're lucky, sometime late next year, we might get a tease or an announcement of some kind, that something's in the works. But I just wouldn't expect to see anything until minimum 2024.
Yeah, no, I get you there. I mean, who knows when?
And I'd love to see another game. I really would. But I'm also realistic about this whole thing. I realize, games just don't get made overnight, of this, caliber and quality. So it's something that has to be in the oven for a while. It needs time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Deus Ex, I've played a bit of it. I can see why people like it so much. It's not my favorite game, but I understand why people like it so much. But yeah, I wanted to know what kind of you thought, Spectre, because this is definitely up your alley. But,
no, and I understand that. That's usually what people jump to when it comes to him, and I think there's a degree of almost typecasting to it. I mean, he's had a lot of roles in different games and film and television as well too. But I think you just associate him with that, even for me, even for when I think of certain actors, you kind of just associate them with their most recognizable work. When I think of Pierce Brosnan, I think of James Bond. When I think of Patrick Stewart, I think of Star Trek. Even though they both of those actors, for example, have had a lot of roles and a lot of different things over a career of decades, your brain just mentally categorizes them, and it just goes straight to that thing that you're most familiar with them from.
Yeah, I completely agree. Let's move on. So a little quick bit of another showcase will be happening. We have Devolver Digital's next showcase that they do in the summer, which is a fever dream. Every single one of their press conferences, their showcases is like a fever dream. But anyway, Devolver Digital has announced its summer showcase event, and it's all about the countdown. The Devolver Marketing Countdown to Marketing will be held on June 9th at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UK, and it will apparently center around the 30 minutes of the countdown that typically takes place before a big showcase. And it will be hosted incredibly by Mecha Suda 51. Okay. So yeah. So have you watched any of Devolver's showcases in the past?
I'm sure I have. I'm not like personally like a huge fan of their stuff. I mean, like I won't be going out of my way to watch this, but like for me, I'm actually going to be focusing more on like tomorrow. There's like the limited run games events that they're having. So yeah, I can't really say I'm like I'm really invested in this.
Yeah, I've seen them. And they are as I said, a fever dream of a press conference. It very much doesn't take itself seriously. Of course, they show actual legitimate games that Devolver Digital is working on, but it absolutely does not take itself seriously at all. At all. It's so weird. It's so freaking weird. I know that on June 9th, I believe, that same day, is the actual Summer Game Fest showcase, which a lot of the like PlayStation's State of Play that was shown was a part of that. Like it had the little icon in the upper left of the State of Play for that. So, which is great. I think with State of Play being a part of Summer Game Fest, I think actually helped it. We'll talk about that later. I know we keep saying that, but but I think Devolver Digital is also part of that. So we'll see that, and then later it's either before or after. I can't remember which one it is. I think this is after. What is it? This is at 6 p.m. Eastern, which would be 5 p.m. Central. Summer Game Fest is at 1. So okay, so Devolver will be after the actual Summer Game Fest. So yeah, like Devolver's showcases are always like nutty and crazy. So we'll see what they have to bring out. Do you have anything else?
Not really, no.
All right, let's move on. Next topic is that PS5 has passed 20 million units sold, and Sony is going to be ramping up production of the PS5. So, of course, this is also coming from IGN. Let's see. The PS5 has now surpassed 20 million units sold worldwide, and Sony has promised to significantly increase its production efforts within the next 6 months. Sony executive Veronica Rogers told GamesIndustry.biz that the company is, quote, planning on a significant ramp up in PS5 production this year and is working endlessly to make sure that PS5 is available for everyone who wants one. As noted by industry analyst Daniel Ahmad on Twitter, the PS5 hit 20 million units in 1 year, 6 months, and 22 days. Meaning it's fallen slightly behind the PS4 records of hitting 20 million units in 1 year, 3 months, and 14 days. But with that being said, the PS5 has encountered significant production issues to component shortages that have plagued the video game industry and beyond, forcing Sony to reevaluate its sales forecast for the year in February. The company announced its fastest fiscal earnings result that 19.3 million PS5s have been sold by the end of 2021 fiscal year, meaning the console fell short of its original sales goal by 3.3 million units. But its goal for this financial year, however, meaning from April 2022 to March of 2023, it is to sell an ambitious 18 million units, tying in with Rogers' comments about significantly increasing production. And yeah, so, and then I have the tweets. Yeah, so there we go. What do you think of this, Spectre?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it's such an unusual, console life cycle that we're looking at now because of the the shortages, and we're not, I mean, if I know there's technically there's shortages and there's supply issues with every console generation basically.
Yeah.
But this has been such a persistent issue. I mean, we're basically almost like 2 years into this now.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just been this persistent issue for obvious reasons, and I don't know. You really almost wonder, like, theory crafting, like, let's say we lived in a world where there were no, like, supply constraints at all. Like, they're literally, you could go to any, you could walk into any Walmart right now and grab a Xbox or a Switch or a PlayStation 5 easily. There's no shortages whatsoever. How would they sell that? That's the kind of the thing. We don't really have an answer to that. I do think that to some degree, it is a different animal this generation. I know you don't necessarily see the Switch, for example, as competing with the PlayStation 5, but I think that compared to what we saw last gen, last gen was basically, it was like the competition didn't show up at all.
Yeah.
You had the Wii U, which was a dismal failure. It was the worst selling Nintendo home console of all time, unless you count the Virtual Boy.
Well, yeah, it's the second worst. It's
I don't count the Virtual Boy because the Virtual Boy was actually meant to be portable. So the Virtual Boy is in a really weird category, and it really wasn't necessarily meant to be like a home, like, mainline system in some ways. So that's in a weird category. So I would say the Wii U was actually it was the worst mainline Nintendo system thus far, in terms of sales and performance. And then the Xbox One had probably one of the roughest starts for any system ever, because of the, of course, infamous marketing disaster that befell it before it was even launched. So, I mean, really, last gen, the PlayStation 4, I mean, it had just a complete,
it went unpeated. Like, it was lightning in a bottle with literally everything happening around it. It was literally the perfect storm for them to just
there was a lot of parallels to the to the PlayStation 2 in a way, because in very much in the same fashion, that generation, you had the GameCube, which didn't really sell all that well. You had Xbox, the original Xbox, which was just getting its footing in the market. It didn't have the same brand recognition and infrastructure that and PlayStation, it just took off, and they took the ball and ran with it. And I think that's what happened last gen. This gen, things are a little bit different. And Sony actually has competition.
Yep.
With the Switch, which is
a phenomenal system,
a phenomenally successful system. That continues to sell incredibly well. And then the Series X, which is a powerhouse in its own right. Even to the point where I think it was actually putting up, like we mentioned that in another article, like it was actually putting up decent numbers in Japan. I saw that even, which is kind of baffling. So I think that's part of it. I think you just would naturally expect that the PlayStation 5 wouldn't have the same runaway success that, like, the PlayStation 4 or the PlayStation 2 did. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's obviously it's selling well. I mean, it's already at 20 million, but it's clearly lagging behind to some degree, compared to, like you said, compared to the PlayStation 4. And you would kind of expect that, even without the supply issues, you still would kind of expect that to some degree, because now it has actual competition. You have Switch, you have Series X, and you have, people have alternatives.
Yeah. But I'm glad that they'll be, like, ramping up production of the PS5. This is competition. I mean, Game Pass is a selling point for the series. That's a big deal. A lot of people like Game Pass. I think that's part of the reason why we're getting this new PlayStation Plus version in June, which is only in a few weeks that it's going to be active. So we shall see how that goes. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
But no, I'm glad to hear that they're ramping up productions, getting more PS5s out into the wild, so that way there's not these, like, oh, hello, if you look, GameStop would be getting more of them, but Best Buy is going to get a restock, and like, it's not an event. It's just, if I, on a random Wednesday, I want to go into a GameStop, buy a PS5, I can. So yeah. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Alrighty then, let's move on. Next topic is that the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake is not canceled, is just delayed. Again. So, earlier on June 3rd, retailers like GameStop and others were delisting pre-orders for the upcoming Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake, prompting concerns that the project has been canceled. IGN can confirm that the remake is still in development, but it has been further delayed out of fiscal year 2023. So it'll maybe, sort of, probably not really come out next year. In a statement to IGN, Ubisoft says, quote, "The development of Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake will now be led by Ubisoft Montreal. We're proud of the work achieved by Ubisoft Prune and Ubisoft Mumbai, and Ubisoft Montreal will benefit from their learnings as the new team will continue the work to deliver a great remake." Ubisoft added, "As a consequence, we are no longer targeting a fiscal year 23 release anymore, and the game has been delisted. If players wish to cancel their pre-order, they're invited to contact their retailer. They'll be updated on the project as the development is moving along." This is not the first time it has been delayed. After being announced in 2020, the remake is set to be released in 2021 before being delayed until fiscal year 23, which now has been pushed further out. And now it's been moved away from Prune and Mumbai to Ubisoft Montreal. So, yeah. What do you think about this? Just, I know you're not a big Prince of Persia guy, but just of like, here's another game that's getting delayed. What do you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not a big Prince of Persia guy, but at the same time, I would, like to experience this game. It was something I played on PlayStation 2, but I never got around to actually finishing it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would definitely like to play like a remastered version of it. I think I actually had it pre-ordered at one point, even back, when they first announced it.
What this?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So at one point I think I did actually, but I don't have it anymore, of course. But yeah, I mean, I would like to see it still come out. I wonder what the issue is. If that's kind of curious, especially for like a remake, I'm always kind of curious what the trouble really is.
Well, do you remember seeing the trailer for it? Like, I remember seeing it.
Yeah.
Like, I remember seeing it, and it did look better, but it didn't look new, if that made any sense. Like, it kind of just looked like they took the original of it, and they took the original of it and kind of put like new models or whatever. Like, it didn't look, it kind of like looked like it was in this weird middle space. I don't know. I was excited for this because I'm like, I love Prince of Persia. I love that franchise and I want to play this, but like, it didn't feel like as much of a remake as Final Fantasy VII or Shadow of Colossus or all these other remakes we've been getting recently, remaster/remakes,
Yeah.
So
no, I agree. I mean, it's not like something I'm like dying to play, but at the same time, I would like to see it. So hopefully they get their act together and we actually get to see this eventually.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. But I am always down, like, I am so okay with delays. I am not one of those people who get mad at a game or a product, or like if a game like gets delayed, I am so okay with that. Like, I am fine, like, as long as it's getting delayed, and the reason it's getting delayed is for it to get more polish, work out the kinks, get the glitches out, work out the bugs, that kind of stuff. Take as much time as you need. Like, I do not get, like, push it back. If it's not ready, push it back. It is better to release a game finished than unfinished. Because if you release a game unfinished, then you have a Cyberpunk 2077. You have, like, a lot of the live service games Like, not like Fallout 76. People hated that game when it first came out. And it has taken a long time, up until probably recently, to now being like, oh, this isn't bad. This is okay. Or even like Destiny. Like, I played Destiny. It took until last year for me to go, oh, this game is amazing. This game is great. I've had a love-hate relationship with that game for years. Anthem, live service game. Terrible game. One of the worst games I've ever played. I think Anthem was only better than Babylon's Fall, because Babylon's Fall is a terrible, terrible piece of trash. I'll play Avengers, Marvel's Avengers over Babylon's Fall, and Marvel's Avengers is not a good game. But delay these games so that way they can get polished. I am not opposed to that. I remember when we talked about when God of War Ragnarok got pushed back, and people were upset about that. Remember, it was supposed to come out in summer, but now it got pushed back into fall. And then we got a tweet from Christopher Judge, who was the voice actor of Kratos, saying he's the reason why it got pushed back, because he was dealing with a lot of stuff. I have no problem with a game getting pushed back, especially a big game like God of War Ragnarok. Push it back, give it the time. As long as the game is ready to go when it's ready to go, that's all that I care about.
Yeah, no, I'm of the same mind. I think that's the famous Miyamoto quote, where it was a game that's delayed will eventually be good, or a game that's rushed out will always be bad. Something like that. I'm probably butchering that quote, but that's basically what he said.
I have it right here. A delayed game is eventually good, but a bad game will be bad forever. Or a rushed game. A rushed game is forever bad. There we go. You do not rush these games out. Delay a game. Yeah, a delayed game is eventually good. A bad game is bad forever. Do not push these games out. If they're not ready to go, they're not ready to go. That's just what I think.
Yeah.
Anything else, Spectre?
No, that's about it.
Alrighty then, and that is all of the news. It has been a very dry week for news right now, and that's okay. We're in quote unquote not E3 time. So we are about to go into our PlayStation conversation to talk about a big thing that happened this past week. You ready?
No.
Okay, well, too bad. We're going anyway. This is our PlayStation conversation. PlayStation. Alrighty then. So, we had a state of play this past week, Spectre. We had a state of play.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
Oh, boy. This state of... First, okay, I've already said my piece, so I want to hear what you thought overall, and then we'll go through it little by little. Or how do you want to do this, Spectre? What do you want to do? How do you want to start this? But we want to talk about this state of play.
Yeah, I guess we'll just go in order of it. I will say from the outset, I do love to be proven wrong, and I will be the first to admit that I definitely have usually a very sour attitude when it comes to these things, and I always, of course, say that they are going to be terrible. This time, I was very pleasantly surprised, and I was very happy to be proven wrong. I thought it was great. It was actually a really decent show, and I was very surprised, and I'll just say that from the outset that it's pretty damn good.
I am so glad that is the case. Sorry about that. Ooh, there we go. Okay, so let us begin. So first, we open up. So I had no expectations going into this state of play. I Like, and you can go ahead and watch my stream of my reactions to this state of play. I had, again, I knew it was third party in VR, and I was expecting like nothing. I had no expectations going into this at all. But we open this state of play with a trailer for Resident Evil 4 Remake. Like, we're going to go through this one by one, and then we'll talk about the overall thing. But like first, so we open up with this really cool trailer of Resident Evil 4 Remake. And then it's even said that there will be PSVR 2 content for this game, meaning I'm probably guessing it's going to be in the same vein as Biohazard. You can play this game normally or in VR, top to bottom. So, let me rephrase that. I'm sorry. Let me take that back, because Biohazard specifically, like, it purposefully takes the first person role as Ethan Winters. I don't think they're going to do it with this one. So they might do it like where there is a Resident Evil 4 VR for the Vive and the Oculus. So they may take that and then put it into there. I'm not entirely sure how they're going to do the VR2 stuff for the remake of this. But we are going to be getting that. So Spectre, talk to me. What do you think about this first? Because we're going to go one by one.
In regards to which one?
Resident Evil 4 Remake. Because that's what we opened with. I mean,
for that one, yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. I really enjoyed the original Resident Evil 4. I played it actually back originally on the GameCube, and then I played it over on PlayStation 2 as well too. But yeah, it was I need to see like actual more like gameplay of this, of course. I mean, it was a very short snippet of things, but yeah, no, I mean, I do plan to check it out. I didn't really try the other remakes, the other Resident Evil remakes that they've been going for, other than of course Resident Evil 1. But yeah, I always enjoyed Resident Evil 4. I mean, it's a solid action horror game, and it seems like overall they've had a good amount of success with these remakes so far. So I'm curious to see how it plays out. So yeah, it's something, it's a good way to open up a show, because I mean it's something we all it's not like a shocking reveal, but it's something we knew was in the works and was the next logical step. And I'm looking forward to it. It's probably something I would probably look into potentially on day one.
Like, I was unprepared for it, but I wasn't ready for it, but it doesn't surprise me that they're doing 4, because they already did 2 and 3. 4 should be the next one. Although I will, like, 4, like, everyone loves 4, and I think 4 is the reason that it's the perfect blend of an action game, but it still has that like horror suspense kind of stuff that like back in the day. It wasn't up until 5, and then 6 is just it's just an action game. It feels like Call of Duty more than anything. After 4, they then leaned harder into action instead of horror, where people play Resident Evil for the horror aspect of the game. So I am curious, because like 2 and 3 were PS1 games originally, right? Or was Resident Evil? Resident Evil 2?
Resident Evil, yeah. So, and I'll start off by saying I'm not a Resident Evil.
I know. You're Silent Hill. I understand.
I definitely am more in the Silent Hill camp. But yeah, Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, and then Code Veronica as well too. Those were all, I believe, those were all PlayStation 1 titles. And then when they made the jump to PlayStation 2, of course, Resident Evil 4 originally started off as a GameCube exclusive, and famously did, and then eventually it was ported over to basically everything. I think Resident Evil 4 is like on like it was ported to the Wii. It was to PlayStation 2. It was ported to, it feels like it's on everything.
Yeah.
So it was but a very very successful game. It was extremely well received. A lot of things it did were very influential. The things we kind of take for granted nowadays. Like, I mean, it's, back at the time, you didn't have a lot of games that had that kind of third person over the shoulder perspective.
Yeah. And
it went on to inspire a lot of other games and even other horror games. I mean, without Resident Evil 4, I don't know if you would have had Dead Space, for example, in the form that it came in. I mean, the third person over the shoulder style. So I mean, it was a very influential game. I enjoyed it a lot. I think I played through Resident Evil 4 probably like 2 or 3 times on different systems over the years, and really, really enjoyed it. I'll probably play it again actually before the new one comes out. I have it on PC now, so I probably will go through it again just to refresh my memory of it and kind of for comparison's sake. See how they did and kind of remaking and remastering it. So I'm definitely excited to check it out. I mean, I wasn't like super eager to try the other remakes out. I enjoyed quite a bit the original Resident Evil 1 remake, which they did all the way back on the GameCube. That was very, very well done. But I haven't really tested out like the Resident Evil 2 remake or the Resident Evil 3 remake. I'm not a Resident Evil guy in general. So I mean, this is something that kind of gets me to bite though.
Yeah.
Because I really did enjoy Resident Evil 4 quite a bit.
Yeah, so you open with that. Then, and it says there's going to be PSVR 2 content coming with it. And then we got a trailer of Resident Evil Village, and it pretty much showed off, like, this is going to have VR support also. So that just, again, which that makes total sense because they did it with Biohazard. And this is great. This should be also at launch. So, like, whenever the VR 2 comes out, this should be one of the games that has that at launch. Because that was kind of a big selling point for the original PSVR was Biohazard. You could play that game top to bottom from either normal, like your normal video game, or in VR. Whoa, hello. was that you?
What?
Oh, I heard someone talking.
Oh, you might be getting feedback or something. You shouldn't be getting feedback though.
Huh, weird. That was weird. I must be hearing things then. I
don't know why you're getting feedback. It's on my mic.
Huh, so that's weird. But okay, well, anyway, Resident Evil Village is going to be getting VR 2 support, which is great. Then so what do you think about that before we move on? So what do you think about that getting VR support also?
I'm not really like I'm definitely wait and see. I'm not a big VR proponent in general, so we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Well, it depends on what kind of content they're actually going to give for it too, so. But yeah, I'm not the biggest VR proponent in general.
So then we got that. So then after that we got the Walking Dead Saints and Sinners VR. So there's a Walking Dead game called Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. They're going to do a sequel for it. Which is going to be in VR. I didn't play the first one. I didn't really hear much about the first one, but I guess
I did see that. I'm not a Walking Dead fan. I thought you did play the first one though, didn't you?
No, not in this. This is not Telltale. I have played Telltale Walking Dead.
There's too many Walking Dead games.
No, I understand. There's Telltale Walking Dead, which I played from season 1 to 5. I played all of them, finished it. Phenomenal series. Play the entire thing. It's amazing.
I'm confusing it with that other oh god, what would they call it? The Michonne one or whatever.
Yeah, like that's part of it. Like Michonne was a spin-off. It's still made by Telltale. Great game, worth playing. So yeah. So we got that.
I can't say I'm like super interested in that. You know what I mean?
So then after I have the next thing they showed after was No Man's Sky is getting a VR port. Like, meaning there's going to be a VR mode for No Man's Sky, which is great. No Man's Sky has significantly improved over the years. Like, it is pretty much the promises that they made when it first came out are being met now, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Whoa! What am I?
How are you getting some feedback, man?
I don't know. I'm getting I heard something in the background.
Well, I mean, I have stuff going in the background, but you shouldn't be getting feedback.
Huh? I don't know. I'm hearing it, so I apologize. Just want to make sure. I just want to make sure. If it was is it me? Am I saying things? I don't know. But as I was saying, No Man's Sky going to get a VR mode. That's going to be great. Did you play No Man's Sky, Spectre?
I did briefly when it first came out, and I was one of the ones in the camp that was extremely disappointed by it because it was hyped to the moon and back, and of course, it did not live up to to the expectations that we had for it. It was infamously rather disappointing. So. But
you haven't picked.
But yeah, no, I understand it's a game that's improved quite a bit.
You haven't picked it up since then, though.
No, not since then. No.
Okay. But yeah, so that I'm looking forward to that. Then we got a whole trailer full of Horizon Call of the Mountain, which wow, I'm like looking at this and I'm like wow, like I'm more perplexed at how you are going to be able to play this game, especially the combat when you have to fight the different machines and stuff, because they showed a little bit of combat and stuff, and I'm like, how do you even fight these things? Because a lot of the time when you're playing Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West, you're dodging and ducking and you're moving all over the place trying to get a target and everything like that. There's climbing in it, just like in the original game. Like, there's a lot in this where I'm like, how? I'm looking forward to this and I am excited for this game, but it's a lot of just how. And I think maybe we'll see more like this game might be able to show off what the VR2 can do better or more of than the original VR.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it looked pretty impressive. I mean, I'm definitely not a Horizon fan. I'm not the target for this. But at the same time, it's I mean, just from a, how should I say, from a technological standpoint, it looks really nice. And even if I don't care for it, for it as far as like gameplay or story or anything like that, it does. I mean, it looks really nice. So yeah, I don't foresee myself ever getting the game, but I mean, I am, I am definitely in the camp of, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, you're like, because you got rid of your PlayStations, you're not like, I'm gonna get a VR.
Yeah, no, I don't foresee myself doing that.
Okay, so after that, we had pretty much one of Ben McCall, who is the narrative director for Call of the Mountain, come on, and pretty much he came on and said that there's going to be a major update for Horizon Forbidden West, which got a performance update, which pretty much improves the visual fidelity of the game. There's a transmog mode, so if you were like, I like these outfits for Aloy, now you can just transmog it, so that way you like, I want Aloy to look like this. You can totally do it. You can reset your skill points, so however you want to level Aloy out, you can actually reset them instead of being locked in permanently into it, which is great. There's an ultra hard difficulty for it, along with New Game Plus, which is great. And then there are going to be trophies connected to New Game Plus and so on, which is great. Like, I love that. And they're going to be more loot and stuff that you can get, just like in God of War 2018 when you play the New Game Plus mode. There's better armor. They're doing a similar thing for Forbidden West, which is great. Like, the New Game Plus for God of War 2018 is great fun, and yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's a great update right there. I know Horizon is not your bag of tea or a cup of tea, whatever.
It's not, but I mean, I can appreciate that's something that you'll probably enjoy quite a bit. It's probably a system seller for you for. I mean, I guess you technically were going to buy a VR2 anyways, but I mean, it's definitely something that you would be like, okay, this is something I would want to get more so day one because of that. Because I know you're a big Horizon fan.
Yes, I am. Yes, I very much am. So then after that, we have the announcement of Spider-Man Remastered coming to PC on August 12th, which is great. And I wanted to tie this little news tidbit into this. So Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered, so the remastered one that you got in the Miles Morales PS5, like the Ultimate Edition, is going to be coming to PC. Just a little quick little tidbit. Insomniac Games reveals that its Marvel Spider-Man games have sold over 33 million copies worldwide as of May 15th of 2022. So let's see. Yeah. So in the PlayStation blog, which is kind of connecting to this, pretty much they are there. It's Ryan Schneider, who's the head of franchise strategy and studio relations at Insomniac. It's pretty much him talking about like the PC port and stuff like that coming from this. But he says that from the Spider-Man series has sold over. So that's the original 2018 Marvel Spider-Man, Miles Morales, any of the digital copies from both, and the remastered. That's how many copies have been sold, which is amazing. So now that we know that this is coming to PC, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of this larger strategy that they have to really go all in on, PC ports and, making this a huge revenue stream for them. And I think like we were just discussing, it makes a lot of sense. And Spider-Man is probably, they just did God of War not all that long ago. They tested the waters a little bit with Horizon and what was the other one?
Days Gone. Days Gone was one of the first one.
Yeah. So they tested the waters with those two, and now they're bringing all their heavy hitters over. And also Uncharted, of course, is on there already too.
Yep.
So Spider-Man and of course, Ghosts would be another one. Last of Us, I'm surprised is not over yet already. I mean, may as well just bring the whole party over at this point. I mean, it's they're probably going to want to stagger the releases a little bit, naturally, just so it's not like it's not like flooding the market and oversaturating it to some degree. I think they want to space them out a little bit, but Spider-Man and that's huge. I mean, I personally will not be. I don't see myself getting it. Like the only way I could see myself getting that game and playing that again would be like if there was like some really cool mods for it, which is another big advantage of the PC versions of these games, is that they really have a big, there's a lot of there's a very active modding community for a lot of them. So, oh
my God, have you seen the different mods for God of War 2018?
Oh, of course, yeah, I've seen a lot of them. Yeah, they're pretty wild. Some of them are. Like,
I think one of my favorites is, one of the more recent ones, they turned Baldur into Master Chief. So when you're playing the game, someone modded Baldur into Master Chief. So now you have PlayStation versus Xbox kind of thing, because you're still Kratos in that. There was one mod where they made it Homer Simpson. It was Kratos and what's his face with the glasses, the nerdy guy. What's his face?
Ned Flanders.
Yes, where they fought. So Kratos was Homer and Baldur was Flanders, and they did that. There's tons of mods for that game. And that's great. I have no problem with that. That's awesome. I think, PlayStation should be more open to mods. Because remember when Elder Scrolls V Skyrim came out, they were like this kind of the best version on between the Xbox One and the PS4 was the Xbox One version. After like the special edition, the big one where it had all the mods. Xbox was more open to mods than PlayStation was, and I think we talked about it on this show once or twice. But yeah, I think PlayStation is now kind of being a little bit more lenient on PC, because now they're saying, oh, this is a market for us we can make money in, blah, 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 blah.
Exactly. So I think it's a logical strategy. Like I said before, I don't think they're really losing anything by doing this. So I kind of knew right when it started playing that this is what the announcement was going to be.
So after that, we got this little, we've seen this before at a State of Play before, but it's this little indie game called Stray. You play as this little cat in this like cyberpunk future-esque world, and you play as a stray cat. Graphically, it looks great. I don't understand the premise of it. I am not upset that this is here. Because the way I looked at it is that you started off with Resident Evil 4 and Village to kind of like, all right, let's begin. Let's start with a banger. Let's start with something that excites people. You start there. And then you have a little bit of, and then you kind of be like, all right, here's the rest of we're going to VR stuff, Call of the Mountain. All right, great. This is what people are excited for. Here's a little bit of stuff for Forbidden West to tie into Call of the Mountain. Now we're going to take a little bit of a dip. We're going to start, here's the PC port for Spider-Man, whoop-de-doo. Here's Stray, ba-bam, which it's a tiny little indie game, that I've talked about this on my after reactions of the State of Play video. After my reactions, is that I do not mind seeing indie games in a State of Play, but you cannot have a State of Play be fully immersed by indie games. You have to have things or something that grips people. Where that's why I'm like, Stray's here, great. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a weirder looking game. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's something that's just going to kind of be forgotten. But I have a soft spot for more artful focused games. So yeah. I mean, it's something I could see myself checking out. Maybe I will check it out when it comes out, but not something that like I'm dying to play.
Me neither.
It didn't have like this. It didn't grip me, the same way. I mean, it's interesting, I guess, but didn't really say like, "Ooh, wow, this is really intriguing and captivating."
Now,
would you see it as like a day one purchase?
No, like as I said before, it's like it's a nice little indie game. Graphically, it looks amazing. I'm not gonna lie; it looks graphically good.
Part of the reason why I say the show was good.
No. But like, what I mean is, like, I have no problem with indie games that's an indie game. That's not being made by a AAA or even AA developer. It's here because we talked about it. This game is going to come out sometime this year or whatever. Here you go. Like, where do we fit this? They put it into the State of Play. I'm not like, this isn't a game where I'm like, oh my God, I need to play it day one. May I pick it up? Maybe. I don't know, but it's not a game that I got excited for. But that's okay. I'm looking for a smorgasbord. Like, State of Plays need to be a buffet, a smorgasbord of different things. And we'll talk about that once we do our recap of the entire state of play. So next thing we got was the Callisto Protocol. This not Dead Space looking like game. And I know you like Dead Space, right, Spectre?
Yeah, this is basically a spiritual successor to Dead Space. Has a lot of the same, a lot of the same team behind it. It is. I mean, I think you could slap a Dead Space 4 on the end of it, and people wouldn't be surprised. I think it wouldn't seem like it was out of place at all. And it's. I think that's great. I mean, it's I think this is actually what I would like to see. We were talking a couple episodes back about Silent Hill and kind of what I would like to see happen to that. This is what I would like to see happen. Something that's very much in the same vein as like that series, but different. Different story. Something new, something refreshing to it's a different take on it. Essentially, that's what I would like to see. Instead of just an ever increasing number at the end of the title. But yeah, this looks really good. This is what I expect. I heard of this game before, and I knew that they were making a spiritual successor to Dead Space, and this is exactly what I expected and hoped it would look like. So it was gory. It was it had that same kind of that creature design to it, which is sort of like this. John Carpenter's The Thing kind of inspired look. So I mean, this is probably a day one for me. I mean, this looks really good. I of course I would like to see some more about it, but I mean, so far so good. It looks pretty damn good.
I mean, like for me, if you watch my reactions to it,
You're not a survival horror guy.
I'm not. And the few horror games I have played, I have enjoyed. I love Until Dawn. You could probably Last of Us 1 is more action survival than than survival horror. But regardless, this does look like a very interesting game, and I am intrigued by this game. Am I going to play it? I don't know, because I'm a pansy. I'm scared of a lot of things. And I'll admit it. I have no problem admitting it. Horror games are not my thing. They're really not. But this looked awesome. This looked really cool. I can understand why people like you, Spectre, and others are excited for it. And it has a hard date too. It's December 2nd of this year. Hopefully it stays there. Hopefully it stays to that date, but it could get pushed. Hopefully it doesn't, but we shall see how this goes. But that's the next game that we got. So did you want to talk anything more about Callisto Protocol?
No, I mean I don't know. I don't have much more to say about it other than it looks really good, and I hope it lives up to the hype. And it'd be great to have sort of a revival. I mean, we're kind of getting the best of both worlds here. We're getting sort of a soft revival to Dead Space with the remake, and we're getting a spiritual successor now as well too. So I mean, it's I think this is pretty great.
And mind you, we do know that there will be a Dead Space remake coming from EA. So we shall see if that remake is good or if it's just a shell of its former self. And the real Dead Space game you want to play is Callisto Protocol. So we shall see. So after that, we got this game called Rollerdrome, and it was to me, I was like, what is this? But it's this Tony Hawk Pro Skaters with guns. You're in this arena, and it's all has roller.
Yeah, I vaguely remember this one now.
It's has this 2D what's the style of animation that they used in Borderlands? What is it?
Cell shaded.
Shell shaded. Thank you. It has the shell shaded animation to it, but it's the best way I could describe it is Tony Hawk with guns. But you're doing tricks and all these kind of things, and you're pretty much shooting the opponents and getting them out and stuff. Like, it's really hectic, really weird, really crazy. Yeah, what did you think of this, Spectre?
Yeah, I don't know. It looked a little goofy and a little weird for me, to be honest with you. It didn't really grip me. I'm not really. Maybe it's just the art style. Maybe I'm not really a fan of like, the cel shaded stuff, So maybe that's part of the problem.
For me, it felt too empty. It felt too empty for like if the whole point of this is that you're in a skateboard park, like, and you're supposed to like shoot up, you're supposed to go ahead and like kill the other opponents and stuff, and they're killing you, and you have to dodge and you have to do tricks or whatever this is. It's kind of just like I saw this, I'm like, what is this game? Like, it's like what is happening? Because you're blowing things up. Are you fighting? Is the point of it to use rollerblading is that your maneuver? Is that how you move through the space and stuff? But then you're doing tricks, what? Like, it's really confusing.
It could be sort of an interesting idea, but at the same time, I don't know. Maybe I'm just harping too much on the art style. I just associate the cel shaded stuff with kind of like a lazy thing. Like I don't really like the cel shaded stuff. I never did. I think I actually probably would have liked Borderlands more if Borderlands had stuck to its original art style, which was actually much more of a like realistic traditional art style. They actually made the decision to switch Borderlands art style,
the cel shading.
I think like midway through development. It was originally going to look very different.
But for me, shell shading isn't a big deal for me personally. I don't mind. I love Borderlands. As we were talking, like Telltale's Walking Dead uses shell shading, that like style because it wanted to look like it came from a graphic novel and that kind of thing. I don't mind the shell shading. It's just watching this trailer, I didn't really get a grip of what this game is, and it felt very empty. Because if it's rollerblading with tricks, but you're shooting other things, I feel it needs to be more full. I just feel like this trailer didn't really execute what it wanted to do. It's an interesting concept. That I'm definitely going to say. I am interested to seeing what more this could be. That I will definitely say. Just this trailer specifically, I was like, interesting.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, it just was. It just didn't do it for me.
Mm-hmm. So then next we have this game called Eternights, which is this like anime-esque beat 'em up.
I kind of like this one. I like these kind of weird kind of like I don't know. There was something about it that was kind of interesting. I put it actually on my wish list just to kind of keep an eye on the game. Mm-hmm. It's like an action / dating sim kind of game. It's like an apocalyptic dating sim of sorts. I guess that was the pitch for it at least.
Yeah, you could probably go with the whole dating sim kind of thing. I think it leans into that Persona kind of thing, but instead of being turn-based like Persona, like the gameplay of Persona is,
these are basically Persona fans essentially that made this game.
Yeah, and then this game is like it's a beat 'em up, which that's up my alley. I love that kind of stuff. That's up my alley. It did look cool. I was just like, what is this? What is happening? Wait a minute. What is all this? But you had these really cool, just these finisher things happening. It looked really, really cool. Apparently your main character, somehow, some way, his arm got cut off, but he then grows a magic arm, and his magic arm is able to turn into like a blade, like a sword and stuff, and he's able to do magic and all this kind of stuff. And then you have like the other characters in your team. One of them like creates like a motorcycle that you ride on, that you are then able to get on, and all these kind of things. Like this game, I was like, what is this? It kind of felt like Persona, but like a beat 'em up. Which is not a bad thing. Persona is a fantastic game. You know, it's this. I will say, I will keep an eye on this game myself. This was another like good game. I'm not like, am I like, oh my god, I'm so excited for it? It was just kind of like, huh. This is like, it's so over the top that it kind of baffled me. Like with my raw reactions, it was kind of
it just kind of was sort of like random in a way. Yeah.
But now this was my personal, like, this was the main event for me. This is what stole the show for me personally. After that, we open, so it goes like we have a shot of like a city that looks like New York. It has like Capcom written in graffiti, and then we cut to this guy that's like, we have this like monologue happening, and we show this guy beating up some punching bags in a gym, and other things, and it shows other characters and stuff, and they're all fighting and stuff. And then it cuts to pretty much this woman who has the brunette with brown buns and blue like dress, and then it cuts to an old man in a gi with the red belt and everything, and I'm like, that's Chun-Li, that's Ryu, this Street Fighter, and it was Street Fighter 6. This stole the show for me. I was like, yes, please, this is what. That was my biggest reaction in the entire show. Was this? We're getting a Street Fighter 6. This looked awesome. It very much it had its own style, so it very much looked like all right, whatever they learned from Street Fighter 5, they're like, okay, we can't do the whole like the Mortal Kombat storytelling that NetherRealm's good at. We're gonna do our own thing. And they showed off Chun-Li and Ryu and these two new guys, which it was like Luke and, oh god, what were their names? Let me look.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely more for your speed. I'm not a Street Fighter fan. In the least, I'm more of a Tekken guy. But yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely big news. I mean, obviously this is it goes without saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, mind you, if we're talking about what is my favorite fighting game, it's between Soul Calibur and it's almost a three-way tie between Mortal Kombat, Injustice, and Soul Calibur. Like, I love the NetherRealm fighting games. That's my jam. That's what I love to play. And yeah, it's Jamie and Luke. Those are the two new characters that we saw in this trailer. And wow, this game had style. This game looks so unique. I was blown away by this. Any other remarks you want to add to this?
No, I mean, there's not really much I can say about it. Like I said, I'm definitely not the target for this. I mean, I'm not a Street Fighter fan, but I mean, it's like I said, obviously it's big news.
Yeah.
You know, it goes without saying.
Mm-hmm. So after that, we got a trailer for Tunic, which already has come out for Xbox, and now it's coming to PlayStation, and it's this pretty much Legend of Zelda esque game. Like, it very much takes its like combat and like not animation, but like gameplay aspects from Legend of Zelda, like a Link's Awakening and stuff like that, like the old school like not N64, I'm sorry, the Super Nintendo Zelda games. What'd you think of Tunic?
I don't even really remember that one, to be honest with you.
Excuse me. That's the one with the little fox. The little fox that's kind of
Okay, yeah, I might have missed that one. I don't remember. I was jumping around a little bit when I watched it, but I don't really remember that one.
Okay. But Tunic is great. Tunic is a very good game. I would definitely look into that Spectre and anyone who missed out on that. Tunic is definitely, it looks good. People have been raving about it on Xbox. It's coming to PlayStation, which I'm happy about. So then next we got this.
I might have thrown that one on my wish list at some point. Let's see. Tunic. Oh yeah, I do have it on my wish list.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like a little fox, and you're pretty much has.
Nice. Yeah, let's see. It's not on sale, right? I'll probably pick it up when it goes on sale.
Yeah, it's definitely it's worth playing. It's worth playing. I'm definitely going to pick that up whenever it comes out. Sorry, I got something in my eye. Then we got another little indie game called Season: A Letter to the Future, and it's just a little exploratory game. I saw it. It was fine. It's a little indie game that came out. So, do you remember seeing this, Spectre?
Which one?
Season: A Letter to the Future. It's like this guy, pretty much like he's in.
I remember that one too. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember that one actually. Yeah. Interesting art style. That's why.
Yeah.
Comment. But yeah, definitely not one I was like falling out of my chair for.
Yeah. Again, ebbs and flows. You have Street Fighter come out. That's a big announcement.
Be like non-stop heavy hitters the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Like even the PlayStation Showcase, which was just here's a bunch of stuff. You still had ebbs and flows, mind you. The highs and lows were like smaller than here, but like you still need that cool down, so that way when you get to a big announcement or to an exciting game, you people get excited and they're not worn out from like everything. And then so then we had that. And the final thing that we had was Naoki Yoshida, who's the producer of Final Fantasy XVI, comes on, and he's pretty much talking about Final Fantasy XVI and the work that is being put into the game. And we pretty much saw a gameplay trailer and a story trailer. Like we really got a really good in-depth look of Final Fantasy XVI. And this game looks sick, dude. This game looks sick.
Honestly, this was a very strong way to close the show. We got to see gameplay now. We got to see a lot more of it. It felt like it was a longer segment too. We got a release window for it as well with 2023. I believe the summer of 2023. So I mean, we got they delivered the goods on it. I mean, it really. It looks really interesting. I'm like I said, I've said many times, I'm not a Final Fantasy fan. I've enjoyed, some of the games in the past, like Final Fantasy X, and I actually enjoyed Final Fantasy 15. I didn't think it was that bad. So, I will probably be checking this out. And that's another thing too. I believe this was they went back and forth on the exclusivity of this game, but I'm imagining it's going to come to PC as well too. So
yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a very strong way to close out the state of play. I mean, it's a huge title, and it's something we really haven't had a big update on in a while. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, well done. Like I said, it just capped it off really, really well, and I can't really say much more beyond that. I think it looks really good.
And the thing is that this game is being made by the head director of Final Fantasy XIV, which is the MMO that's still active today. And fans of MMOs, like we've talked about this in the past, but Final Fantasy XIV has been kind of the MMO of choice. People have left WoW and other MMO games to play Final Fantasy, and people that play is this is the game, this is the apex, this is the best MMO game out there right now. And I have a little another news tidbit. This again from IGN is that Final Fantasy's development team consists of an all-star lineup with several industry veterans from not only Final Fantasy but Dragon Quest and Devil May Cry. Shared on the game's Twitter, Final Fantasy XVI's combat director Ryota Suzuki was a gameplay lead on Dragon's Dogma, an effects designer on Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and a designer on Devil May Cry 5. It seems fair to say that the action elements of the new RPG come with some pedigree, which makes sense. You could see that there were you would see moves that this guy just twirling around and around, just killing this monster. There were some Devil May Cry aspects to combat in this. It looked awesome. Producer Naruki Yoshida, while most known for turning Final Fantasy XIV Online from a dead-on-arrival game into an incredibly successful MMO, has also worked on Dragon Quest X and Dragon Quest Builders, and director Hiroshi Takai has plenty of JRPG chops, having previously worked on Final Fantasy V, Saga Frontier, and The Last Remnant. And again, all this will be in the description. So they have an all-star staff working on this game.
Yeah, no, it's Final Fantasy it's big, it's in vogue right now. I mean, it's got a very successful MMO behind it, and and Final Fantasy 15 was pretty well received.
Oh yeah. This isn't me and again, Final Fantasy 15 is great. And then Final Fantasy 7 Remake, so good. So good. That was within our Game of the Year nominations, I believe a few years ago when it first came out. I think it was in 2020, I believe. Yeah, I think the game is a 2-year-old game, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, no, I mean I think it was at the time, wasn't it? Did we nominate that?
I'm sorry?
I said, didn't we nominate that at the time?
Yes, we did. It was within our within our nominations for Game of the Year. Yes, I believe in 2020 that year went to. Yeah, because it was that, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, and a few others. And it would mind you, that year had a lot of bangers of good games. But that was Ghost of Tsushima that took that year. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that was within our Game of the Year nominations. I'll take a quick look. See, I believe it's right there. But yeah, again, this ending on Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Yeah, it was in our 2020. It was in 2020. Yep. It was one of our nominated games for 2020. So yeah. So with all that being said, I have no idea what I just heard.
You gotta fix your mic and stuff, man. You're getting feedback.
Oh man, I'll see that, because I'll definitely see that. But anyway, with that being said, I would definitely say, hands down, this was the best state of play ever.
Yeah, I'm always happy to admit when I'm wrong, and I've always historically said that they've been terrible, and this was opposite day. This was really well done. I mean, obviously not everything that was out was a banger here, but I mean there was some really awesome stuff here. And yeah, I mean I was impressed. I was kind of taken aback by it. I wasn't even really I didn't even plan to watch it live. I was like, oh, well, I'll put it on, I'll just kind of check in on it and see how it's doing, and I'm like, I'm sure it won't have anything that I really, even really want to see, but then I turned it on. It's like, oh, hey, there a couple good announcements, okay, I'll keep watching. And then it's like, okay, it didn't stop. It's just like, okay, good stuff after good stuff after good stuff. And it's just like, okay, maybe maybe I was wrong. You know, like maybe they can put out a good thing here and there when they want to. You know.
Like this state of play was amazing. I've watched every single state of play. I have done my reactions to pretty much every single one. I even did reactions to the Gran Turismo one. I wasn't able to get that up because pretty much the entire audio went nuts and it was unwatchable. That's why you don't see a Gran Turismo one on the channel. I had one ready. I had that edited and everything, but the entire audio was messed up and there was no way for me to salvage it. But I have watched and done and reacted to every single state of play that has been done. And I've said this before. I've said this on the reactions of that video of June of this one that we're talking about. Like going in, I had no expectations. I was like, okay, third party. We could see maybe Call of Duty. Maybe we'll see stuff like none of these games I was on my radar at all. Outside of maybe 16, because we already saw it. I was like, okay, maybe we'll get an update on 16. We've talked about it, that they're gonna put out more updates of it. Okay, we're gonna see that, yada 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 yada. I was not prepared for Resident Evil 4 remake, VR stuff. I even said I knew, because we knew we were going in with VR stuff, we'll get Call of the Mountain. But we got like a ton of stuff for Call of the Mountain. Street Fighter 6, I was unprepared for that. Like this state of play is how this is exactly what you need to do. I'm going to use an analogy and that I use. Again, this is a wrestling analogy, so bear with me. I watch a lot of wrestling and I watch tons of different wrestling and stuff like that. The way that you want to book wrestling cards, like your entire like event, you want to book, you want to start high so you get people gripped, and then you ease down. So you'll put on like a really high flying spot fest of a match first, or like a match that people want to see or something. But not the biggest one. You want to put something that like can grip them when the show starts. And then you ease down. You'll put some other like mid card and stuff like that. And then you put a big one in the middle. And then you ease down. And then you put your main event. And that's where everything comes to a head. This is how I felt. How this state of play went. You start off with Resident Evil and you open with all the VR stuff to get it out of the way. And then you went, okay, Resident Evil 4 remake, new game. Also going to get VR, so it attaches into that. We're going to start with Resident Evil. We're going to go here. All right, we're going to get No Man's Sky and Resident Evil and Walking Dead and all this. All right, we're going to dip a little bit back up. Call of the Mountain, because people are excited for that. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and move from there, and we get some indie games, and then and then here's Street Fighter, which, oh my god, and then you ease down again, which is like, you know, indie games and a bunch of other stuff, and then here's Final Fantasy XVI, which is the big thing, gameplay, story, like the whole big kahuna, like. This is how you book and do a state of play. You put big name stuff that people are excited for with brand recognition and whatever. Even new IPs that people will get excited for. Mind you, we got a lot of like branded IPs, like, you know, Street Fighter 6 and Resident Evil 4, But this is what you do. You put big name draws on the state of play and you mix it up with indie titles. Because the last state of play we had was, and I'm not talking like, because the actual last state of play was the Hogwarts Legacy one. Those in-depth state of plays are great. And I love those, and those I'm so glad that like PlayStation uses the state of play to kind of like use that to be like, hey, we're gonna deep dive into this specific game. But the overall generic state of plays have not been good. have not been good at all. Like March was, I think it was like March and I think October. I can't remember which one, but those two were terrible. Because I think one of them was just a bunch of indie games. I think I think it was the one in March. It was a bunch of indie games, and I think the biggest draw was like a Ninja Turtles, like the Shredder's Revenge compilation pack of the old 90s Ninja Turtle games. Great. I'm looking forward to that, but that's not exciting. Like every state of play since then has been lackluster at best. Like, woof. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you have anything else you want to say about these state of plays?
No, I think that's all there really is to say. I mean, like I said, very, very impressive. I mean, I'm just like I said, I'm kind of in shock almost. Like
I know, I know, right?
I can't now I can't say that anymore. I can't say like I have to actually like make reasonable commentary now. I can't be like they're just terrible, you know?
Yeah.
I have to be like, you know, it's you know, like, oh well, it's a state of play coming up. Maybe it's gonna be good.
This needs, I'm repeating myself, but I'm repeating myself for emphasis. This needs to be the norm. This needs to be the norm going forward. You cannot go into another state of play. I'm not talking about the showcase because we know when you do a PlayStation showcase, this is like, all right, here is the E3 spread. This is the when you want to see PlayStation's E3, this is PlayStation's E3. State of plays have been kind of just like, oh, here's a bunch of little No. You use the third parties to bolster up the state of play. If you choose to do a generic like state of play, we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. Use your third parties to bolster it up, and not just indie games. Have indie games. This is not me going get rid of the indie games, because no, you need the indie games. You need the indies. You need that, but you cannot have a state of play that's full of indies that no one recognizes. No one knows what these are. Great, like it's good. Like again, Stray, indie game. Okay. Cool.
And you're right. It can't just be. I mean, obviously, no one. I mean, they're not capable of just being like heavy hitter after heavy hitter after heavy hitter. It's got to be kind of a mix, you know.
Exactly. Like, I mean, Callisto Protocol. You could even look at that as a indie game. But the reason why we're not talking about it, and like a lot of us are excited for it, because it looks like Dead Space, and you said that it's being made by some of the guys who used to work on Dead Space, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, it's essentially a spiritual successor.
Yeah. So if that's the case, like you have all these kind of things, and that's how you bolster it up. That's how you do it. This is how you do a state of play, and you cannot renege on this. You cannot go backwards from this. The next state of play, whenever it is, if you do a fall one, or if you do a state of play next year, like the next time we hear from PlayStation is a showcase, and that's the last time we hear from them this year, I'm fine with that. Like, I am totally happy and satisfied with that. You know, you don't need to do state of plays, you know, we got one in March. We got one... Like, I'm looking at this year. We got March. We got one, I think, in February, I think. I'm sorry. We got a March normal state of play, and then we got a Hogwarts Legacy state of play, and then we got this one. This again, I will end on this. Best state of play ever. Like, this is the norm. This needs to be the norm.
I agree. I don't think it's going to be the norm. I think that's pretty.
No. Like when I say the norm, I'm talking about the way this was booked. I'm talking about the way this was set up. You know, like sometimes you might not be able to have big announcements like a Street Fighter 6 or Resident Evil 4 or, you know, more on Final Fantasy 6. Like, but you need to use the big name third party games that people are excited for, and you know people will be excited for, to bolster it up. And then you put in your indie stuff and the things you're working on that are either more iffy or, you know, whatever it would be to be the lulls. Have it be a roller coaster. You like the way this was booked was perfection. Could you have put in like Marvel, like, you know, Wolverine and like the bigger titles? Sure. But like, this was the best state of play because of, I think everyone went into this with no expectations, ready for this to be trash, because that's what it has been for ever since it started. And this is the first one where, oh my God, we got big announcements. We got actual legit games to be excited for. That's what I mean. You need to have these big name games with indie games, the buffet. Does that make sense?
I agree. It's like I said, it was just really well done. I'm just like, I'm kind of surprised. I mean, I almost did like a double take on it. Like I literally just flipped it on. Like, okay, I was like, oh, hey, like I just remember, like it's happening right now. I may as well just turn it on and see what's going on. And it's like, huh? Like I ended up watching the whole thing. I even like scrolled back, like, huh? Wow, they opened with Resident Evil, like, it's
yeah.
Like I was just like, I thought it was just going to be a bunch of trash. I thought it was going to be the Call of the Mountain thing and a whole bunch of nothing. And I mean, there was something for everyone here.
Exactly.
Was, you know, your action, your VR news. You had survival horror, like real survival horror. You had some cool looking, some decent looking indie stuff. A port that kind of further confirms their PC strategy. A lot of Final Fantasy 16 focus. It had kind of everything. Street Fighter, of course. So it had a big fighting game franchise. It literally had a little bit of everything.
Yeah. This was great. This was great, and this is how you book a state of play going forward. And I hope that this becomes the norm going forward. That's what I mean.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I hope that becomes. I hope that's true.
Awesome. Well then, with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Please let us know in the comments down below what you guys think of this state of play. If you haven't already seen the state of play, you can go ahead and see my reactions to this state of play, and I'll again have it tagged somewhere in there. I'll even go ahead and put it in the description down below or as a tagged comment. It'll be down there somewhere. But please, if you haven't, go ahead and watch my reactions to this state of play. But this state of play was great, as we have said. But if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/Brotherhood of Geeks. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell everyone you know, tell everyone you don't know. Please press the like button. That really does help us. That lets everyone you know that you like what we do. And it tells other people that you like what we do, so they should go ahead and watch us too, just like you do. And we really do appreciate that. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at Dualshock'd, B-O-G. That's the name of this PlayStation podcast, Dualshock'd, B-O-G. You can also follow us on Twitch when we stream at twitch.tv/Brotherhood of Geeks. And then you can also follow us on Facebook, on our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Brotherhood of Geeks. And then you can also follow us on Instagram at instagram.com/Brotherhood of Geeks. So yeah, anything else, Spectre? Any last words?
No. We're getting, this is I was gonna say the calm before the storm, but I mean we're already starting to get a lot of big news. I mean this is gonna be a huge month. Tomorrow we got the limited run games special, which I'm really looking forward to. We're just a week or two away from the Bethesda conference. I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming within the next week here.
Yeah, so just a quick tidbit of just a review of the kind of schedule that we have kind of going forward. So on June 9th, on Thursday, we have the Summer Game Fest, the actual Summer Game Fest, which will be at 1 o'clock, starting at 1 o'clock Central Time. That would be at 2 Eastern Time, and that would be, I believe, at I think 11 Western Time, or Pacific. I'm sorry, Western Time, Pacific Time, because it's 2 hours behind Central. And then we have the Devolver Digital later on in that day, and then we have the Bethesda showcase later that Sunday. So this the Sunday coming up, this on June 12th, which will be at noon Central Time. So that would be at 1 Eastern, 10 Pacific, I believe, if I do my time zones correctly. So yeah, we have game announcements. I think Summer Game Fest always comes out with at least one huge announcement. Last year we got Elden Ring with a street date and everything. And I think, but it'll be between Summer Game Fest and the Xbox Bethesda showcase to see what we really are going to be getting this year.
Yeah, that's gonna be the main focus, you know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Bethesda one in particular. But I'm sure we'll get some big announcements out of the Summer Game Fest as well too.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Well then, I think that's everything. Any last words, Spectre?
No, that's about it.
Alrighty, well, great then. Well then, with that all being said, I'm Brett J. Rasmussen.
And I'm Spectre.
And as always, live to play, play together. We'll see you guys next time.